All right, and we are live.
Yes.
Live from the 718. To have Obsessions next to me is great.
We here.
And today we have a very, very, very informative and important show because CNN just put out a report a couple days ago that proved that everything I was saying was absolutely, unequivocally, unadulteratedly correct about how men has fallen not only out of the dating market, but have fallen out of society. And this study, which is also peer reviewed, actually gives you context about why men are in the position that they are. One of the guests today, my man right now, Price, me and him have been talking about this the last week, because in my community that we call the conscious community, I noticed that a lot of my peers has become these guys that CNN was actually referring to. And we have a beautiful young lady named Christina who I'm about to mute. But I just wanted to, we're going to really delve into this. And then Christina herself was actually impressed by the research. In a couple seconds, we're going to have Obsession play some clips of it. And then we're going to go right into it and discuss that, because I said that when we did Women Don't Care Part 1 and 2, when we were discussing, how men have kind of like morphed into something that is not allowing them to even compete in society, not just in dating, but just politically, socially, and it gets into the psychology and the systemic basis of it. So as we go right into it, I'm gonna let Obsession play some
ready
of
to play? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn the music down and we're gonna go right into it.
Delved here into recent data from the CDC. Last week, I delved here into recent data from the CDC suggesting major problems with regard to the mental health of our adolescents, surges in depression and suicidal ideation, especially true for our girls. This week, I found cause to worry about young men. This headline from The Hill, it caught my eye. Most young men are single. Most young women are not. The story reported that as of 2022, Pew Research Center found 30% of U.S. adults are neither married, living with a partner, nor engaged in a committed relationship. Nearly half of all young adults are single. Now, look at these numbers. 34% of women, twice as many, a whopping 63% of men. What explains that? I pulled the Pew study and I read with interest. Turns out since 2019, the share of single men who say they're looking for dates or a relationship has declined from 61% to 50%. In 2018, 28% of men ages 18 to 30 reported they'd had no sex in the past year, compared with 18% of women of that age. The Hill report said men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. They stand at the vanguard of an epidemic of declining marriage, sexuality, and relationships that afflicts all of young America. Among the causes, among the factors, a reliance on social media and online porn. But also, more young women are hooking up with each other or dating and marrying slightly older men, and heterosexual women are getting more choosy. Other troubling statistics about men come from a 2021 study from the Survey Center for American Life. They found the share of men who have 6 or more close friends, which in 1990 was 55%, by 2021 had shrunk by half. Meanwhile, those with literally 0 close friends, which stood at 3% in 1990, has zoomed to 15%. An expert quoted by The Hill said this disconnect can have catastrophic consequences for young men. Quote, in the worst case scenario, the young American man's social disconnect can have tragic consequences. Young men commit suicide at 4 times the rate of young women. Younger women are largely responsible for rising rates of mass shootings, a trend that some researchers link to their growing social isolation. Well, those words reminded me of a conversation that I had over a year ago right here on CNN with NYU professor Scott Galloway.
But the issue is when you have a group of men, the lower half of attractiveness of men in online dating, which has doubled, now it's about half of relationships, and the top 20% of men in terms of attractiveness get about 60% of the interest. You end up with a group of men that are more prone to conspiracy theory, more prone to misogynistic content, more prone to not believe in climate change. So this is the Americans.
So the reason why that's important, what he just said, right? Me and Offset should talk about this all the time. Why I but why I don't participate any longer in these discussions in my former hobby of the conscious community, right? Because most of them are into conspiracy theories. I gotta mute you a little bit, Christina, because you're giving me feedback for a second. And they fall into this vortex of behavior, right? Where they just sit in their house and argue about stuff that they never seen, never did, and technically haven't really studied. And it's because, like the guys say, lack of companionship, lack of opportunity, lack of actually a social life. What do you feel about that, Obsession?
So many things. First of all, let me say what's up to Christina. I haven't seen you in a while. It's been a minute. I hope Dre has been treating you well. I know he could be a bit of a a-hole when he's ready, especially some of the conversations that we've had. I know this guy is.
Yo, where is the boom ting on his joint for that one?
Can I be unmuted? I want to be unmuted.
Hey, Christina, turn your level, or can you?
No, it's okay. I could turn the Bluetooth down.
Slightly, because she's like blasting. Okay, there you go.
And I'm loud.
No,
it's not you.
It's not you. It's this. He got
we got a new system going on over here, so we're literally building the plane as we fly it today.
Yeah,
hey, Christina, could you text?
I tried to use my iPad and I couldn't figure it out, so I had to go back to the phone. So I get it.
Hey, real quick before you start, text DMG the link. Christina, I think he just texted me asking for the link.
I will text him. I will text him the link.
Right.
I have so many comments. I wanted to say, I believe, knowing like how research is, I believe that they say these men now are more like, they're talking about being isolated. I find even more pressing than the not having sex and the women is they don't even have friends. They're friendless. They're lonely. Like that's at your core. And then they say, they're more likely to be in conspiracy theories, misogynistic, and not believe in climate change. So you're saying, well, how the heck does that work? That's because they research people, like when you're in a conspiracy theory, right? Like they find out about you, so they find commonalities and then they correlate. And that's how they find out that these type of men who are lonely and like outcasted, this is what they go towards. So that's how they find out that. Like they don't believe anything. They're disgruntled like from the core. But I'll text DMJ.
Okay. Hey, Price, what is your take on it? Because me and you've had like in-depth conversations, right? So what is your take on it, Price?
Yes. Hey, first off, peace to the panel. I'm still kind of dealing with the thing of it's kind of generational for me, Dre. I kind of seen this thing more generation, and but above all, I just remember coming up, and as I told you before, I think men keep score, or my generation we kept score, and the matrix was how well you doing in life was. What's your job? What do you do?
Yep.
Where have you been? That type of thing. And at some point, I don't know, is it, during the pandemic or some point along the way, men became more and more introverted and withdrawn because, something clicked off in their esteem and said, hey, I'm not winning. And when I say that, I'm talking about your adolescence, your late adolescence, your 20s to 30s. And it just started morphing into something different. And then, you had society start telling you, oh, you're not supposed to be this type of way and all that type of stuff. I kind of grew up in the era of, men don't cry and all that. And, I started seeing this thing of it's okay to get in touch with your feminine side. And I'm like, feminine side? You know. So, and Miss Christine, I'm not a dinosaur. I'm just being transparent.
I think I get it. I get it. Obsession, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you tune down the music a little bit, because it gets loud and then it gets low and then it gets loud? That's
your joint there.
It's at one level over here, but we'll keep it.
It's me then.
We'll turn it down a little bit.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's playing at the same level. So but well, thank you for letting us know on the technical side. Though. There
you go, Engineer Christina.
Yeah, but I think we got here a couple of ways. One, during the pandemic, everyone was forced home, and we were working from home, and we couldn't do much, so everybody just kind of went online. This whole social media thing. I think some women got way more attention than they ever did during the pandemic. And if you're let's say the average looking female, just but average, like a 5'4", she has more dateable options than most men, right? Even most men who would be considered 8s and 9s, she has more options,
right,
in terms of sex and stuff like that. And she started to realize that, right? So the men on her level, the guys who were 5s and 4s or whatever, were not appealing anymore, and they didn't have a shot in hell, right? Because she's getting all this attention from guys who were above her on the sexual marketplace. So those guys are just getting thrown by the wayside. It's like, who the hell are you? And that's most men, because most men are average, just like most women are average. But the average women still have way more options than any average guy. Even a fat chick could get laid. A fat guy would have a much harder time. No, seriously.
I'm with you. I listen. Seriously, I always say, if you're a heterosexual man, every woman is carrying something that you want. It's just to what degree are you?
It's crazy, man. So I think we can't fix it. I don't think it's something that it's like you can't put the genie back in the bottle, the toothpaste back in the tube. Like it's out, it's over with. Like we have to now adjust to this new way that the world works. And then when you listen to what the women are requiring to date them, you need to have all this income and all this status. And it seems like it's just getting worse by the day. Like, I mean, all the videos I see online, it's like, what are we talking about? Are you serious? So, these guys know that they can't measure up. I watched the podcast the other day. The girl was like, so what if you dating a guy and he's like, he got his little 9 to 5, but he broke. And they was like, well, what is broke? And she was like, he make $1,000 a week. He broke. And they was like, $1,000 a week ain't broke. She's like, 800 after taxes. That's broke. And I'm saying to myself, what are you talking about? And one of the guys on the podcast said, that's $4,000 a month. That's not broke. That's broke. This is the mentality, like who's gonna sign up for that? Like these guys can't compete.
They can't.
Come on.
I said that when we did the Women Don't Care show. But hold on, Christina. I just want to say this. Going back to what Price said, me and him talked about this a little bit earlier today. During Price's generation, during Obsession's earlier years, during my adolescence, and definitely my father, my father used to say, the mandate of masculinity is to protect and to provide. When America has for the most part taken away the normalcy of the way you protect. Listen, most people in America, especially when Obsession was a child, and especially when I was born, they didn't go to college, right? A lot of them just went to high school, got a trade, or went to high school, went to a factory, and they just worked. And they was able to have a wife, 2 kids, a car, and a fence, right? And now you're in a position where you got to hustle just to eat. And when I say hustle, meaning you just got to work harder. The hamster wheel is perpetual. And I think you take that into consideration, then once Obsession plays the rest of the video, we're going to get into the social media aspect of it. These women in line sight now are not looking at a guy in proximity. He might be all the way in like Alaska and he's sexy. And you're competing against that. And all of these things are just a conundrum that created this where we at now systemically. Me and Christina was laughing earlier today about one of her friends, former friends. We're not no name, no blame, who has an organization. Now, here's what's funny. This woman is old enough to be one of the Golden Girls and putting filters on her pictures. And I'm just sitting there saying to myself,
I'm not surprised.
And that's the thing. None of this has to do with business, right? None of this has to do with advancement. It's narcissism run amok. And that's what you've seen. So like they say, and when Obsession plays the rest of the video, they get into the stratified numbers, like how most men are just like left out. Because as women are making slightly more money, they are becoming more choosy. It goes, I'm gonna let the rest of the video play, but Christine, you have something to say before?
Yeah, I wanted to, this, it's good timing. It preempts Obsession playing the rest of the video. I have a question. Do you think the average, as you said, the average fat guy, right? He doesn't have too much of a chance with the women online, okay? Do you think, being male, right? Or does anyone on the panel, I'm the only female at this point, do you think he has a better chance with meeting and succeeding with a woman, perhaps in person if he met her instead of online?
No,
yeah, well, that depends.
No, I'm gonna say no. Let me tell you why. Let me say why no. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because that woman that he met in person probably still has social media.
That's true too.
Okay. Because I'm thinking like, okay, so, you know, even if someone is not, well, okay.
Well,
the pool is poisoned.
Right. People are impressionable as well, right? So for example,
it's bad. It goes bad from way back, and that's what the clip will say. But
right. It would allude, right.
When you get to know someone though, like there's their, as the clip will say, there's their voice, there's their, how do they smell? How do they act? Are they funny?
Yeah, I agree.
And you don't have that with an online platform. It's
You
not
don't.
It's two-dimensional.
You don't, but I think the problem is some, not all, women can't they can't differentiate between negative attention and positive attention online.
Well, everyone
a guy
wants
that's just offering them penis or a guy that's offering a relationship. So if he's in your DM saying, "Hey, ma, let me holler at you. What you doing this weekend?" Some women just take that for, I got all of these options.
Yep.
As opposed to this guy just wants to bang you, as opposed to the fat guy that's outside trying to get to know you, really wants to be with you.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a damn shame.
But I will say, I agree with Obsession, but I also think it's nuanced because me and you talked about this earlier, Christina. In my existence, and I still see it, right? Even though I'm not a person of belief, right? But when I was in church, I seen normal people date normal people, or average people date, because that was in their proximity. Right. Even to this day, some of my peers that I grew up with in the church, when I was in that mindset, I see them like they're not in shape, or they're not, you know, models at all, right? But it's like, I see you every Sunday. You're normal. I'm normal. You're average. I'm average. I need vagina. You need to create kids. We love Jesus. Let's get together. But, right. And you know, so I think proximity is everything.
And also with that, being in church, right? Like you said earlier today, like, you know, you're rationalizing, right? And
correct.
I get that. But also what the church, and this isn't a religious statement by any means, but what the church offered was something else instead of just how people look on social media. It gave a deeper,
right.
A chance for a deeper connection.
Right.
I agree.
With something else, which then hopefully makes the whole package. But online, like, everyone is so filtered. I was telling Andre, it's like, at least, you know, the men I see online, that's a whole other 3 podcasts. But anyway, so they're filtered also. And there are some that are like, they have like avatar-ish things. I'm like, what are you? Where is your picture? Just where is your picture? That's craziness.
And you never date someone who only has pictures of their head.
Facts.
Well, yeah.
Okay. If it's just their head, you come on now.
Please, I
heard a new term. I heard a new term yesterday.
What, hatfish?
Hatfish. I've never heard that before.
Yo, that's been around for 3 years, man.
I've never heard that.
Andre knows that there was one guy, like, he wanted like some full-length pictures, but I had full-length pictures, but he wanted more full-length pictures. Then he wanted more. I'm like, do you want my body mass index? Like, I can't do it.
I think it was.
I
He
can't.
wanted to see that thing.
I think it was something else.
That man wanted to see
I'm
that
like,
thing.
I don't think he just wanted full. He was trying to get as much as he could.
He wanted to see
And
that
Andre
thing.
knows I'm not in like a positive body image at this point. I'm like, I'm too fat. I know. I'm not sending any more pictures. Like, I can't do it. Like, stop. It was so uncomfortable.
Yo, Christina is the funniest online dating woman ever. She wakes up in the morning and be like, I'm too fat for this today.
Oh my god, Christina, do you really feel like you're fat?
I am heavier than I had been several years ago. So does that mean
does
I'm
it affect?
Fat? I don't know. I don't know.
Does it affect your dating? Do you think?
Well, I actually have to go on a date to have it affect. So
Oh my
I
God.
don't know.
Leighton, guys, her inbox is now open. Christina Maria Senatore.
So when is the last time you've been on a date?
Like right when
What we're gonna do right here is go back.
Yeah.
Way back.
Back into time.
Back into time.
So I would guess it would be a year and a half ago at least.
God.
Okay.
Damn.
Okay.
At least.
That's a long ass time. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Damn.
I wouldn't recommend it. No, I wouldn't recommend it.
That's a
But anyway,
long-ass
that's a
time.
whole other thing. We're losing focus here. So anyway, definitely want to
Yes,
hear the
it.
rest of this clip because it's amazing.
Wait. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, me? Is that my violin? Is that what you hear when I talk? That's nice. That's great.
But
That's great. I knew I missed you.
I will
for some
also,
reason.
before we play that clip, I also want to say, like, if y'all don't listen, I'm not trying to be. I just want Christina to say, after hearing some of this, right? You already said it.
I already said it.
But was I right with most of the stuff that I said so far in this podcast? I'm not talking about this single podcast. I'm talking about from day one when me and Obsession started saying, now you get a chance to hear it from peer-reviewed research.
The only thing I disagree with, and I still disagree with,
With the teeth brushing. He don't.
thank you.
I don't listen.
I just that I'm
Hey,
like no, because that has nothing to do with women. But we don't have to relitigate
to do
that.
with women.
No, when you're a kid, your mother and father tell
I
you to go to
agree
the
with that,
bathroom
but
and
these
brush your
guys-
teeth.
But these guys
Has
fall out
nothing
of
to
it.
do
They
with
fall
women.
out of it. They fall out.
I will
of it.
never agree with that.
Let me ask you a question. So so brushing your teeth don't have to do with women. Okay. But what about your haircut?
Now I could see like you might like I
Reason
don't
why
feel
I
like
said
it
that, I know a guy,
Okay.
39 years old, 40 years old, trying to get a woman in the Bronx, right? He got the Andrew Dice Clay haircut, black man. And you know what I said to myself? If he had a woman, she would literally say, nigga, the Andrew Dice Clay.
That got to go.
Right.
You know, I was talking about this years ago. I was stuck in this place where I wore green and brown.
Okay.
All the fucking
You
time.
was the Wu-Tang.
Why?
Green and brown. Like
Why?
I don't know. It's just I had everything green and brown. All my
Okay.
clothes, shoes, you name it, right? And I was dating this girl. And I had put a red shirt on, a red sweater on one day, and she was like, "Oh my God, you look so good in red." Now, red happens to be my favorite color, but I just never wore it. Right? And she went on and on and on about how good I looked in red. And we went shopping. And she bought me, I will never forget it. It's here. All these years later, it is a red and white Tommy Hilfiger jacket. She brought me that jacket way back in the 90s. I still have it to this day. That was my first touch of a bright color on me, just really feeling it. And it changed me. She encouraged me. And I have to be honest about
That's
that.
beautiful.
She did. She brought me out of my green and brown stage.
But that's
so
what
a
good
woman can
partner's
bring that.
supposed to- that's what what you're supposed to do for each other. That's what we're
I think that me and you talked about this, Christina. Me and Obsession talked about this the other day. I was telling a friend of mine, I said, listen, post the age of like 32, you got to look in the mirror and assess your reality every day. If you're losing your hair, now, whether you decide to shave it, whatever you want to, but you got to be honest with that. If you can look at yourself and say, I'm not in the shape that I want to be, you got to be honest with that. If your hygiene is not up to par, you have to be honest with that. If your finances as a man, if you feel like, yo, I don't feel like I have enough, why? Because as soon as you walk out that door, there's a girl that say, what sneakers he got on? Ooh, your breast thing. Why your hair like that? Ooh, you put on some weight.
Yeah, you ain't gonna get a woman.
It's always going to be a woman there to meet and critique at the point of sight.
Listen, personally, it doesn't fly. It doesn't. I don't understand it. But like, as a mental health professional, I do. But what about the people who don't know their hygiene isn't that great on their own? They just don't know that. I'm not saying something happened and now they don't take care of themselves. But some people are not as clean as others.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Well, I mean, they need help on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time. I tell people all the time. I tell my dental hygienist this. Mm-hmm. I say my biggest fear is what, Christina?
Bad breath.
Thank you. That is I literally find myself brushing my teeth for no reason and gargling with fluoride and then taking my Oral-B toothbrush and brushing. Why? Because I want to get some money. And, before I found God, I was with a lot of women. So I don't want to be in a bunch of women's face or someone's face to get some money.
How you doing?
In your breast? Man, listen. Because women do not hold that bullet. Women do not hold that bullet. Y'all let that go. As soon as y'all smell that man, poof, y'all let them know. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say this before we get into the second part of the clip. Like I say, if a man post the age, once he reaches 30, especially once he above 32, 33, you like Price just said, and like I've been saying, you have to take a form of self-inventory. If not, it's going to be a cold day in New York because, you know what? On that note, play the rest of the video.
Story. If it's written with a pen whose ink is failing young men, does not end well. This is an existential crisis, failing young men.
As always, Professor Galloway was prescient. Back with me now is Scott Galloway. He's a professor of marketing at NYU Stern School of Business. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's the host of the Professor G podcast and author of multiple best-selling books, most recently, Adrift, America in 100 Charts. Scott, thanks for returning. Hasn't the advantage always been to those with the looks and or the money? What's changed?
First off, Michael, I just want to say thank you for raising this issue a year ago when a lot of media companies were afraid to talk about this for fear of it being pro-men was somehow being anti-women. Look, this is returning to the natural order of things. For the majority of history, a small percentage of men have had the majority of the mating opportunities. But in America, we decided to make a huge investment in what would probably be the greatest innovation in history, and that is in the middle class. From 1945 to 1947, 7 million men returned from war, were discharged from the service, and we decided to give them the GI Bill, subsidized mortgages. We saw education rates go from 5 to 45%. They were valued, and we had such a strong manufacturing base that you had massive marriage and household formation. And some men were seen as more economically and emotionally viable. And you've seen the reverse happen with the offshoring of much of our manufacturing base, with a society that quite frankly doesn't value young men. When we talk about problems with people of color or women, we see it as a systemic societal problem. When we see problems or the stats that you just mentioned, we see it as accountability, or the men just need to level up. But married households and household formation are better citizens. They vote. They save at twice the rate. They're less likely to commit crimes. and we have fewer and fewer viable men. We have a dearth of economically and emotionally viable men. But the middle class is an accident. Unless you invest in it, it doesn't happen. Eisenhower decided to invest $500 billion in a national highway project that created tons of jobs. We have, and by the way, the tax rate back then was 91%. We raised money and we redistributed in social programs that made young people more economically viable.
Yep.
And then, Scott, you toss in the influence of social media and how relationships today, they don't come from, in our era, happenstance and mingling, right? They come from swiping, and that further accelerates this issue. Am I right?
Oh, it's been the chaser to it. I mean, to have an honest conversation about this, we have to be honest. And that is that men and women have different mating criteria. One quarter of men saying economic viability is a key criteria in a mate. 3/4 of women say that is important. And when you're on a two-dimensional format, where now it's 1 and 2 relationships begin online, it used to be 1 and 4 just a few years ago, it gets distilled down to a small number of criteria. Specifically for men, it's does she look attractive? And specifically for men, is he able to signal his ability to garner resources in the future? An average attractive male on Tinder gets swiped less than 1% of the time. And there's 3 men on Tinder for every 1 woman. So you've distilled it, you've taken out one of the key components of mating dynamics, and that is vibe, humor, body language, pheromones, the ability to be, quite frankly, a little bit persistent in the pursuit of a romantic relationship. We have no third places anymore, no places to meet. People aren't going to bars, they aren't sports league, they aren't going to church, they aren't even going to work. So it gets distilled down to very 1 or 2 dimensional attributes. And the reality is women are much choosier than men, and they can apply those screens.
Say it again.
And they allocate all of their attention to a small number of men. That results in just essentially at the end of the day, a lack of opportunities. Chris Williams summarized it perfectly. He called it the high heels effect. In the last 40 years, more women have graduated from college than men, and they're not interested in mating with non-college grads. They now own more homes, single women than single men. So what you have is women say they won't date anyone shorter than them, 50% of them. Effectively, what you have metaphorically over the last 40 years is women have been getting taller and taller, and men have been getting shorter and shorter. How many of us have said, I know a ton of great single women, they can't find a date? That's not true. They can't find a date. They can't find a man they find economically or emotionally viable. If we don't make a massive investment in young people and make more economically and emotionally viable men, we're going to see a lack of household formation. We're going to see a decline in the middle class. And we're going to see, quite frankly, just a lot of young men who are terrible citizens.
That's the word from the Lord, man. That is a word. That is a word from the Lord.
When I go back for my doctorate, I'm going to get it for, and this is going to be like my thesis. Like, this is the area I want to be in. It's unbelievable.
Listen.
Wow.
I told y'all. I want my roses and vagina in dollars. I told y'all. I was like, yo, man, this is what's going on. I told Price. I remember one of the first conversations with Price on Mo's show when we was teaching investing. I was like, yo, I'm gonna dive, and Price is my witness. I said, I'm gonna dive into incels, and I'm gonna dive in why this thing has happened, right? And if Jolanda is still watching, Jolanda was on the show when I did the Andre After Dark, when we talked about, when I had one of my homegirls from the Bronx, and let me not say that, but she said something, she said, date your wage. Now, when she said that, it was like me, I don't take offense to it. I really don't, because I know how ladies are, but I said to myself, but if a guy looks at you, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay.
Was she a little muggly?
Bruh,
I'm asking, was she a little muggly?
I'll show you a picture of her, and then you'll make a decision after that.
But I'm gonna bet on black.
But the point I'm making is she said it with such boisterous chutzpah. She said, I'ma tell you, date your way. And I'm just like, come on, man. And so the point I'm making is this. I wish Sonny Boy was here because me and him got into it when I was testing my soundboard out the other day. When I said to him, and I'm not going to get into the book, but one of my favorite books that I will rename nameless teaches you how women not only have a type, but within that type, there's an archetype, and television and everything that's pop culture has spoon-fed you these archetypes. And so when you listen to what the guy said in the peer review research, when he says like, yo, women have become even more choosier and they're only going for select amount of men because social media has now fed them this archetype at almost a McDonald's rate. Like, what did McDonald's do? They perfected the fast hamburger, right? To feed more. Remember their slogan used to be billions and billions served, the millions and billions served, right?
Yes.
It's the same thing, right? So now these women can see nothing but their archetype. And most of these men, my age and above, can't catch up to what has morphed into more. Like, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Obsession, I talked about this to Obsession and you, Christina. I had a discussion with a woman I work with, and I told her, at my age, if I was at my age, when my father was my age, he was not in shape. He had the crown missing in his afro, right? And he had his wife and his kids. Andre cannot be that at this point in the game at my age and think Andre's gonna win in the dating market.
Nah, you're not.
And you know what my coworker said? I'm not worried about your crown missing. I ain't worried about your belly touching your knee. Can you put food on the table? I said, yeah. So there's a bunch of 5'6" men walking down the street with a belly that can put food on the table. And you know what you do when y'all drive right past them? Like,
I'm gonna have to
be at least 6 feet.
You know what I'm saying?
At least 6'2".
That always bothered me about women. Like I know women my height. I'm 5'2", and they're like, "Oh, I need to be with someone 6 foot." I'm like, "Why? You're 5'2". It doesn't matter."
I know a woman, right? 5'3", light skinned, 3 kids by 4 different baby daddies, and went on Facebook and said, "My baby," she said, "any man I date got to be over 6'3", have dreads, and be dark skinned." And I'm just sitting there saying, like, what does that got? Like, okay, you can have your preference, but what does that have to do with anything?
Well, it's hypocritical as to what she does.
It's very hypocritical. It's very hypocritical. So the point I'm making is that what happened was normal in America in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even the 90s. Normal was normal. Average was normal, right? It was fine. You were in the bell curve. You wasn't in the tips, right?
And average is the 20, so it's 100%, right? That's what we're dealing with. So the average range is 25th at the lower range to 75th percentile. That's
correct.
That's a lot of people. That average isn't like perfect. It's there's a lot in there.
Okay, let me play something real quick.
Go ahead.
This is they're talking about how much you should spend on dates, and also it's a bunch of little quick clips cut together. How much should be spent on a date, and what they require for someone to date them.
Mm-hmm. It should be coffee.
Okay, what's the good price? $400. Let me explain myself. $400 is actually very good for a date.
I tend to date guys in a higher tax bracket, so doing something more than coffee and drinks, trust me, is not a problem.
If you don't feel like you can help out with me and my kid, then we don't have anything to talk about.
It's the first date. It's a joke, right? No,
so this guy's taking this girl to Applebee's and she's refusing because she says she's too good for Applebee's.
Okay, I ain't saying all that. It's 20. It's on 220. Yo, chill out. Yo.
And she walked away.
What's a man got to bring to the table to be with you?
His money.
Like 100,000.
At least 50, 60.
I like the rich scammers.
I want the scammer. That's fast money.
I need all his money. He need to get that trap money. He's got to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
can't make this shit up, people.
Okay.
Oh, wait, she wants to scam
That's the
her?
clip.
What does that mean? Like
Yeah.
scammer, like then she's gonna be scammed. I don't understand. Like
No, a scammers. There you go.
There you go.
what is it?
There you go. The swiper, the dope, the modern day dope boy.
As we say in the streets, they fuck with that plastic.
Facts.
Okay.
Okay, credit card scamming,
right.
all that kind of shit.
Oh, so they don't care where this money comes from, and they think that they think that like to get that much money you have to be a scammer, so that's what they want because it'll benefit them.
No, you literally have people who scam.
Right,
like
there's
that's
people
their
that
thing.
that's their vocational, occupational, like
That's their thing.
That's their thing.
Sorry, I'm
And
from suburbia.
yeah,
we're a little sheltered.
Okay, all right. When we were younger, it was the drug dealers. Like the girls wanted the drug dealers.
Right.
Now they want the scammers. So the scammers have effectually replaced the drug dealers. So the scammers are the ones in the street getting that money.
Yeah.
But it's criminal.
Of course it is.
It is, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Can I say something on that? Because
go ahead, bro.
To me, that's a huge underlying thing right there. Is the bag. Earlier we was talking about the fat guy when he get attention, but we forget these other variables that you got this fly me out culture. So
talk about it, man. Preaching the word of the Lord.
You get flued out, right?
If you can fly somebody out, I wouldn't care if a guy is 300-400 pounds. He gonna fly out, take on a shopping spree. I mean. And it's underlying issues talking about morals and convictions and things about that. But that's kind of where you're at now in this stage, because you got people that can go right there on social media and create a huge following and get their face out there or their body out there, and the right guy reaches out and first class on Southwestern or whatever.
Let me just say this real quick, Price, because you're absolutely right, and I want your opinion on this. Because I've seen this, right? This is why I disagree, because Kevin Samuels once did a show and said, if you got the money, you should trick, right? Meaning it's not tricking, and if you got the money, you should do it. But you know what I noticed when you test that theory? If you ever go to my favorite restaurant of Nobu or Philippe's, right? You see a lot of men, you could tell, flew a woman out, or like took a woman out for the first time. And the interaction between them two is so weird. Especially when you meet the old white guy that do it. He goes to kiss her and she goes, are we still going to Chanel tomorrow? And I've literally seen this on numerous occasions.
I'm just here for the bag.
Right, but that guy has to know that. He knows that.
That's what I'm telling you. Listen, Christine, you're missing a point. Is that when these guys do it, they know what's going. Listen, okay, I'll give you a better scenario. I was in Nobu on my birthday 2 years ago, right? For the pandemic. I'll never forget this. It was a banker, an investment banker, and he had two like Puerto Rican chicks from the Bronx, right? Now in his case, it was different because he wasn't like, he was kind of attractive. And then so they go to use the bathroom and I slid to his booth. And I said, bro, I'm not being nosy. I said, it's not like we're not touching shoulders. We're sitting next to each other. And I was like, you don't feel a way about what? He said, bro, I give him, he said, including this dinner, they're probably going to get $1,000. He says, I plow them. I go about my business. But see, the difference was the women's like, hi, daddy, rubbing his chest while he eating. Oh, we got to go to the bathroom, daddy. I'll never forget that. He came back. They came back from the bathroom and said, sorry, we took so long, daddy. Other than the other average guy who had the chick in the other time I was in Nobu and he tried to kiss her and she was like, are we going to Chanel tomorrow? He's like, yeah, of course. And then she goes, I really liked that Burberry coat. And I'm just like, and you can see he just wanted a kiss, right? That's all he wanted. Just give me a kiss, girl, please. And it was just so awkward. And I see it all the time. You see it in like I said, you see it in Philippe's. I'm telling you, in Philippe's, what I saw on numerous occasions was the girl never been to Philippe's. So even though the dude is tricking, but he's just trying to chill. So she's like, every 2 minutes, she's like, They bring out the dessert when they set on fire. She's like, she's contorting herself, and he's just like, it's such an awkward exchange, right? Because it's like it's almost like it's unnatural.
Yeah, it is. I've seen it. Me and my son went to a restaurant not too far from here, Imani, and you know how they have everything outside now.
Right.
So we're sitting outside, and there was this couple right next to us. It was a guy and a girl. They came a little while after. He's on one side, she's on the other, and you could tell this was their first time out. Nothing wrong with that, right? You know, first dates happen every day.
Mm-hmm.
And they kicking it. She's kind of in her phone, not really talking to him too much. And he gets up and moves to the side that she's sitting on. Okay, the side she was sitting on, it had a bench. On the other side of the table was a single chair. So he decided to sit next to her. And she was like, why you come over here?
Yep.
Why you...
I remember you told us that
why you
story,
come?
Yeah.
And she got up and moved to the other side. She moved to where he was just sitting. I'm like, brother, ain't no coming back from that. We just she curved the hell out of you, bro.
Facts.
She's not there for you. She's just trying to get what she can get. And she was a little hood bugger, you know.
Christina,
looked
send
like she was
DMG the link
hustling.
again? Because he just said link in the track. Send me the link.
Wasn't Imani where you were taking us all to brunch obsession, I think?
Yeah.
That was it.
Thank you for reminding Christina.
Yeah, I like that place. I like that place.
Cool.
I like that place.
All right, I'm gonna send him the link again. Okay.
Hey, so think about what you guys just said when you're talking about the disingenuous or the authentication of it. So the guy may have a happy ending at the end of the day, and he's not gonna miss the cash. But guess what? Later on that night, he gonna be right back in that same thirsty spot because
I agree.
So,
yep.
I
totally agree.
It's pointless. I mean, you're setting yourself up for failure and signing up for abuse.
Society right now. I apologize, good brother.
No, it's cool.
No, you good.
It's cool.
But Price. See, that's the thing. That's what me and you are always talking about, right? Like, listen. I know Obsession's seen it because he's been to Atlanta. He's been to certain places, right? I've definitely seen it, right? It's such an unnatural. That's why I'm really gonna do it. If Obsession is free next week, I really want to revisit a lot of things Kevin Samuels said. Because now that I'm more into I was always nuanced, but I'm looking at things a little bit differently now, right? Now I don't disagree with most of his stuff at all. I think he had what we call mission drift towards the end, but a lot of things, see, it's just not natural because Obsession said it. I say it all the time, right? If you as a man, I hate to use the word level up. Let's just say you aggrandize, right? You don't have to be the tricker. They're going to circle the block. I hate to say women, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but you ladies will circle the block. Y'all will, am I right? If you start at one point and you
they will circle the block.
You gonna get the hey babe, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a fact.
Or you gonna get the so who turned back the clock on you? You young looking.
It's a fact.
Do you got great pubic hairs? Like, come on, man.
Different. You know that. You know, sometimes you may get a first strike, but sometimes you had to be persistent and just keep coming back. You know, it was all. It was about the chase.
Well, see, let me say, and this is what social media has done, right? The chase has been eliminated, meaning because Christina herself, right? Let's say she was like prominent on social media. She's a little bit more refined, so she's not like most women. But like, let's just say dudes can still get in her inbox, right? There's nothing Andre could say persistently now that a million other men aren't saying every day. Via direct messages, right? It's yo, girl, let me go pick up in my spaceship, girl. Let me go get your feminine products.
I agree. Now, there's a couple of things going on. because the way we participate in society now in terms of social media, we're constantly swiping, right? We watch one video, we laugh or we don't laugh, then we're on to the next.
Yep.
We might find this one, and we just keep swiping. We get used to doing that, right?
Yep.
So when we go to these dating apps now, it's the same thing. It almost seems like there's endless choices. You just keep swiping. Oh, no, not that one. Oh, maybe this one. Oh, no, not that one. And it gives you a false sense that you have endless options when you don't.
The swipe, no matter what the swipe is on, the video, the funny product, the dating website, that's a bit of dopamine every time you swipe. So that's
you know what? And
something in your brain.
This is a little bit off the topic. I just got, me and my man was talking about this today. And I know Obsession has said he doesn't even allow. But like today, I had to like literally block. And I don't be on Instagram like that. Because if it ain't for my brand, which I'm relaunching soon, but I don't be on, like, I had to block Gilly and Wallow. I'm so tired of Wallow coming on. I'll be minding I'm like, why am I seeing this? Like, I'm so tired of him. Yo, wake up. I know it's raining, but go get an umbrella. Walk around that building 5 times and go in and ask for a job. Because if you ask for a job, then you can pay your bills. And if you go, it's just shut the, like, what are you talking about? It's so vacuous. It's like, bro, if Christina or Price, if I tell y'all right now, look up the poverty level in Philadelphia. If what you said made sense, it wasn't like, get up, get an umbrella. I know it's raining, but go outside and walk around that building 5 times and then look inside the building and just say, I want that job. Because if I get the job, then it's like, what? That's what social media does. It makes everyone like a pseudo expert. For example, he said, you want to impress a woman? Go behind her in the supermarket and you see everything on her cart, go buy. I'm like, this nigga was just on his ass 2 weeks ago, broke. And now I got to go buy a woman's groceries?
Yeah, I saw that. He was talking about taking, he said, after you do that, take her to Target and tell her, go crazy. Just get everything.
Like, do you understand how weird that is for someone who was lit? Like, listen, I'm telling you, Philly is like my second home. You would literally see them niggas in front of Black and Nobel doing nothing. And now I gotta hear them tell you, like, here, this what's his name? Gilly. Young niggas, stop dressing like old niggas. I'm sitting there saying, you the old nigga trying to dress like a young nigga. Like, what are we talking about? It's just weird. Yeah. That's what social media does.
I agree.
It's like it becomes so I had to literally block that. I said, I can't take this no more.
It's
like if your friends don't support you.
Of acting.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
There's a certain way to act online, and then people are replicating it in real life when it's inappropriate. That's a 2-dimensional thing. We are 3-dimensional. It makes everything surface and fake and weird. Everything is just weird.
Weird, man.
I agree.
We got our resident pimp Brandon in the building. Chi-Town in the building. Putting some paint where it ain't, you know what I'm saying? Of all the buildings in Chicago fall, that pimp is standing tall. Talk to him, Brandon. I know you making house calls like Uber, baby. Tell him.
Well, I ain't gonna tell all my business, but I gotta stick to my appointment that I got. No, what's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling?
I don't know how much of the show you've seen, but we played this CNN peer review research on how men have fallen out of just society, not just the dating market. And the reason why I wanted you up here, because me and you talked about this when we did the She Don't Care episode. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, Obsession agrees with everything outside of men brushing their teeth. Me and him won't agree upon that. But what is your take on that? Now, I don't know if you've heard some of the video as far as like the research, but you in the Chi. So you already we talked about this, right? We talking about a city that is probably the most segregated city. It's, in my opinion, the best houses are in Chicago, right? Like, you could be in the hood and see a cobblestone, limestone, graystone house, ironclad fence, right? But you're in the food desert. You're in a place where if you get shot, there's no trauma wards, right? On one side to the other, right? So as a pimp, player, Mac, hustler yourself, who's probably have your fair share of the ladies in the Chi, from the Wild Hunnits all the way to the North Madison. What's your take on that, right? as far as like men falling out of the dating market, for just basically just being just in solitude?
I think they have too many options. Like I caught a little bit what y'all was talking about, as far as the dating app. I mean, this is a hunter's market. You got to hunt to get your kill. If you're not willing to hunt, I mean, if it's relatively right there on your phone, you can swipe left, swipe right. You don't have to do a whole lot nowadays. So I think that's the issue right there. Nobody's hunting anymore.
Hey, Christina, what is DMG saying? Because he been texting. I don't know, like.
I sent him the link 3 times on my text with him and on the group.
Maybe he's just having problems. But yeah, Brandon, and that's the thing, right?
I'm gonna email it to him. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing.
All right.
Hey,
that's the thing. Hey, what up, Mo? Yeah, what's up, Price?
Hey, can I just throw a quick comment in there, because I mean,
go ahead, bro.
Yeah, he bounced right back to it, and it's speeding off what Obsession was talking about all these options, and this dude, I think it was George Cargo, but he's a comedian, but he made a whole lot of sense when he said this about the more options you give people, the more opportunities you give them to make bad choices. So when you keep it real binary, either black or white, or strawberry or grape, or you know what I'm saying, the more limited choices, the better your chances for the result, the desired result is to come out of that. And now, I mean, we got so many options and flexibilities and all these variables and everything that it's just bananas.
But listen, I told Obsession this. I've told Christina this ad nauseum. I really want to do a show because it's another reason why we have so many incels, right? I always say, in a land of capitalism, in a land of finite resources, but at the same time concurrently infinite resources, right? It's literally like he said, like Brandon said, it's a hunt, it's a blood sport. So this is why I say all the time, access breeds excess, right? And for men, it's almost like it's what's called indirect correlation, because the man who has all the money, as me and Christina always say on the phone, all the je ne sais quoi, all the savoir-faire, right? All the
flavor, yeah.
All the flavor, he's gonna get. I tell women all the time, if y'all think a man with money, access, and he can converse, like he's good with words, he's charismatic. If you think he got one woman in a land of where women are going for these specific archetypes and types within that archetype, you come on, man. It's so yes, the guy who doesn't have the options, he's fine. Look at the show King of Queens, right? It's one of the shows to me that kind of like led into where we at now, where you got like the average UPS guy, but then he got the sassy finger popping, neck snapping wife, you know what I'm saying? And he would literally come home from carrying a refrigerator on his back and cook her dinner, right? Because that was his option. You dig where I'm coming from?
Hey, wait, here's the thing, Drake. And hey, shout out to my brother Brandon. So, because he said something else. It's a hunter's market. It's always a hunter's
100%. 100%.
Listen to me. It's always a hunter's market. Going back to what we saying before, a successful hunter was a guy who could just go out here and hold down a blue collar job. But as
I agree.
we continue to evolve, then the market evolves as well. And that's what people, I had a lot of mentors always tell me, don't fight the last war. And that's where a mistake is being made. Everybody come by and trying to implement old strategy on a new battlefield. So I'm gonna fall back.
Man, Price, hold on. Price gave a word from the Lord. Jesus. But I mean, and that's why I wanted DMG up here because
hey DMG.
Because with that video that we played, it reinforced why I had to like assess why am I arguing about ancient civilizations? Why am I arguing about a God I'll never see? Why am I arguing about places, even though most of the places they be arguing about I went to, but it don't interest me in that level, right? And they're like the guy said in the study, these men without dating options, without conversations, without female encounters, they fall into conspiracy theories. They fall into cult-like behavior. They fall into solitude. And that's why I wanted DMG up here, because me and him deal with it every day. Every day. Every day.
But I'm gonna tell you why it's relevant to this particular topic. When it comes to women,
phone breaking up a little bit.
I don't know if is your phone breaking up because it's going in and out.
No. Hold on, let me
let me see. All right, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Y'all hear me?
We can hear you, but it's choppy.
You on the Bluetooth? You got your AirPods on?
Because I see you got your mic.
Oh, okay, I see, man. No, I don't know.
I don't know why you're like, yeah. But go ahead. Try to maybe fight through it. See, yeah, you want to come out and come back in?
How I sound now?
You good? Let's see if it could hold.
Okay, so I think the spiritual
there you go.
debates and conversations that me and you happen to have on occasion, more than occasion, I guess, is relevant to the conversation when it comes to men and women and our relationships with women. Because when you look at spiritual organizations, whether it's a Christian congregation, a Mormon congregation, 5% Nation, Israelites, Kemetic temples, most of the people in these organizations are women. And they looking
100%.
They looking for a Captain K to add them to his rig.
Right.
So I think that's part of the appeal to a lot of brothers, and I think I know that'll be a selling point for me if I had a wife that was willing to share. You can what now? Hey, yeah. I'll be like, hey, you had me at multiple wives. You can stop with the Christ and the Moses.
Right.
You had me at, if it was me. So, I think that they have a certain advantage than the average simp to coming out with not only one female but a harem of females because of the religious aspect of their scenario. So
right, but flip that now. So that goes into the taking advantage, right? It's almost like predatory behavior, right? It's like how a pimp usually pick up a chick at a bus stop, when she just got into a city, right? I never thought about that until I was in Vegas one time, and I literally seen at the bus stop a pimp just waiting there, just looking at like women who just like didn't have nowhere to go. I thought that was crazy. But the point I'm making is that so if you flip that coin though, let's talk about the guys that we see on our favorite shows where they'll argue and call you sick and call you a moron and say, you don't know, I know more to you, but they will not turn that camera on because then you'll see that they hair's nappy and that they breath, not they breath, that they bellies, like they won't show you that like, yo, I'm not failing. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say failing. They won't show you that they're not happy with their existence. Now, as long as there's an icon and a name where they can argue with you, then it's like, yeah, because in 33 BCE,
let's call a spade in this instance, because when we dealing with men who can come at another man with all the machismo in the universe,
right?
But won't turn on the camera because he know he can't find a shirt that fit because he literally 500 pounds and hasn't groomed himself in months.
Yes.
When we dealing with that kind of scenario, which I have, then you know we gotta call it what it is. Like when you of a particular age and you can't buy a female, you failed. You failed. It ain't no like you failed, my guy. And so and if your life consists of coming online and keeping your camera off and talking about ancient people who really have no connection to whatsoever, but and like literal comic book stories, if that's what your life consists of, and you haven't sniffed a woman in years, you failed. If that was my son, I'll be smacking him like the Godfather did Johnny Fontaine. You can be a man.
You know what's funny is that your newfound fanatic to your channel, Lee from the United Kingdom, said to me one day, she said, Andre, why is DMG so patient with these? I said, because he gets vagina, Lee. That man has a wife. He has access to the yoni. I said, if you can get vagina, you let these people on your channel just say whatever. Because at the end of the day, when they turn their computer off, they're with Pamela and her 5 sisters. But this man has a comfort of a woman, right? And so, and that's why this report is so dominant, because you see it in front of your face every day with him having a channel. Listen, I have no problem. Listen, and Christina knows this, DMG knows this. I used to be so deep into those debates because I actually knew this shit from the languages to the syntax. I used to I still travel to these places. But one day I woke up, and it was a little bit after me and Obsession started talking about it. I was like, what are we doing? Like, it wasn't yielding. I remember Obsession, he said it in the phone. Yo, Dre, it ain't yielding no results, bro. He said, yo, Dre, I was at the gym. I'll never forget. Yield results, bro.
Hey, that's not. And look, that's Dre. Dre is pushing it forward.
Intellectual masturbation.
Conversations now.
Yeah.
But with the men having no friends and lonely, like
none,
and no connection, whether it's female, opposite sex, whatever to have sex with, or friends like other men, they're gonna connect to like 500 BC peoples, and now that's going to be the connection, because as social beings we have to connect with something, but that's why the connection now is so weird. It's so crazy because it's not that you can't be into that, but there's a continuum. When anything is excessive, there could be problems, or when anything is too little, there can be problems. There has to be a working medium in there.
And another thing is, Christina, you could tell, and DMG can attest to this, you could tell that most of them, there's one that's super aggressive, even though he does get women. I know him for a fact, but I'm gonna put him to the side. But the reason why they're so aggressive is because they don't even have an escape hatch to feminine energy, meaning they're so aggressive towards each other because they're not even around enough feminine energy to be like, why am I? Because at the end of the day, I consider Obsession a friend and someone who gives me his time in his studio, right? But as a man, if he didn't do any of those things, I cannot come into his place of business and be like, man, F all this. Because you know why? There's going to be violence, right?
So he wouldn't be
like, yo, I paid. But hold on, Christina. But see, what on these channels that I used to really participate in, and in DMG's channels, you could tell these niggas do not know the threat of violence. Because they just go, it always goes into like a whole dynamic. of like, yo, you punk mother, and you don't know this, and da 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 da.
That's
It's just
because
like,
it's all online. There's a space between you and everybody else because you're not in the physical presence. You can do what.
But it's just the fact that they don't.
Online.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that they don't have the variance of male energy, female energy, male energy, female energy. You understand where I'm coming from?
And that's why I go out of my way when it's a, you know, potential, you know, situation for me to get in, you know, to one of these scenarios, and I just let them know, hey, listen, we can have our little disagreement, and you can stick your chest out all you like, but just understand, if you cross a certain line with me,
TMG funny as shit.
My wife, my kids, like I got money to blow on a plane ticket, and I'm gonna come and holler at you. Like all that internet, like don't cross no lines with people who I'm not a YouTube cat. I'm just a cat on YouTube. So all that, I'm a milkman, and I'm in your neighborhood when you at work and all that. Don't, bro, stop. Don't. So people say the craziest stuff, but they say it to the right people, and that's why I had to get that disclaimer just understand you're gonna be accountable for what you say to some people. Just don't fly off the lip. I'm not that old. I ain't got to that age yet. I'm looking to get there, but I ain't got there yet.
Yeah, so, and that's all I'm saying is that you see what it produces. Not only like Obsession say it doesn't produce results, but what it does, it produces a bunch of men that their only existence is within this small box on StreamYard or the small box on Zoom.
It's a pissing contest.
And it becomes a pissing contest because when I'm not successful in my everyday life, how do I find, right? How do I find my existence? And this is no shot at our brother, but the dude that DMG sent in on a date, right? He like, yo, to this we could have literally put that on CNN as a social experiment to show how men have morphed into something that doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't even matter. So and that's the thing.
I would have recorded it for the channel, but you know the circumstances.
I'm telling you,
such.
Right? It's you know I'm thinking about painting Christina black and sending her to Captain 10K to see if he can get her. You know what I'm saying? In the Hebrew Israelites.
Please.
But you know the thing is, it's like
she just need a tan because it's Native Indian.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Send her to the tanning spot. Make her a little bit more orange.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
hey, Trey,
Yeah,
you notice whenever I have a certain set of people on the channel, and I talk like this anyway, but I say when I be like, hey man, we at like the 2-3 hour mark. Look, I'm about to go upstairs and
Yes, sir.
I don't know what y'all
some praise.
like just to let them know, hey man, I got things that I'd rather be doing.
I got to tend to, right?
And I throw it out there, and I be dead serious, and they laugh, everybody, and they be like, "Yeah, but I'm really about to go do that." Like, what y'all trying to stay on here or what? Let's go. So you know, it's just a certain section that just don't have nothing else better to do.
Yeah, that's just my point. And I think in wrapping most of this stuff up, that video, man, I'm telling you, like, it's powerful because it gets into the crux of the argument. It gets into the crux of the study. It inspired Christina now to say, I want my doctorate in that.
Fascinating.
Right? It inspired her to say that she owes me roses and flowers and money because I was right all along.
I didn't say money.
You know, it inspired her. She said money. And I inspired her, you know, in so many different ways. You know, like I said, this is real. Now, does it get into like how me and Obsession have gotten into it, how DMG have gotten to it, to an extent, how Brandon has gotten into it? You know, it's gotten into that deep, but it does give you the crux of the argument.
I already researched his books, and I'll be getting them, so we'll be talking more about it. Like, I want to dig deeper into like what he's talking about and the places that he quotes. because, it shows good research, as far as my opinion professionally, because, it's not just this phenomenon that happened last year or even pandemic.
Exactly.
He brought it back to okay, so in 1945 to 1947, this is what happened, and this has been the progression of how everything went down, and what are the psychological and sociological and practical ramifications of what happens. And social media, fantastic for a million reasons, but then you have the other end, because nothing is a panacea. You have to, it's a great responsibility, these things, and getting back to the men, who stay on with DMG, 2 to 3 hours, 2 or 3 hour mark, when people are so isolated, and this is what happened during COVID, they have to come up with reasons for great distress. And usually it's some kind of crazy fanatical thing. But when you're so isolated, the only person you have for your audience is yourself. There's no one else. That's why they do consult. We do it with clients. Doctors do it with patients. I've done it with therapeutic clients. Well, listen, this is the adult presents with this problem. This is, what's going on in their life. Someone will say, oh, is it possible there was abuse? Whatever. Oh, have you brought them to the doctor? What's their latest physical? Vitamin D levels. Have you looked into this? How is their relationship with their partner? Not because we don't do it, but because we take the other perspectives. That's the beauty of consultation, of friendship, of whatever. When you don't have that, you're crazy in your head with no one to say, hey, you're a little crazy in your head. And that's a problem. That's a problem.
Well, you got something to say, Obsession, before we?
No, another great panel, great week. Shout y'all out, man. Appreciate you. It's been a while. I've been busy. So, Dre's been busy as well. It hasn't only been on me. He's been moving. He's been globe trotting a little bit. So,
it yields no results.
Yeah. So, but we're here. I still got a lot going on, but when I have the time, I will chip in. And Dre's kind of getting set up over in Jersey a little different. So we're going to try some things online as well. So.
Yeah,
I look forward to it, man.
Yeah, a Price, man. You got anything, brother? You was you said a word from the Lord, man. Don't fight no old wars.
Hey, well, yes, sir. I would like to just drop a couple things, man. Like say, I'm not a dinosaur, but I am from a different generation.
I'm an old fool from the old school.
You're a reptile. You're not a dinosaur. You're just a reptile. That's
Price, how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 54, man.
Oh, so am I. There you go.
Disrespect is what you're not gonna do. Get a foot up in your ass with an all white shoe.
I'm just a results oriented guy. And, this is very insightful, Dre. And like I remember when you brought up the topic of archetype and incel, I was like,
right.
I said you was on to something. But I'm all about solutions because I got a young man. That's in the prime of his adolescence, and we had discussions like stuff about self-inventory, and I just want to throw a strategy out there, man. Break your life down into quarters. 0 to 18, that's the first quarter. 19 to 39, that's the second quarter. 40 to 60, that's the third quarter. 60 to 80, that's the fourth quarter.
Good night.
And just put some accountability on yourself. At these spots in your life, and recognize that, because I've gone through these changes, and I'm trying to let him know that, hey, bro, you're going to go through some changes at these stages in life. And, don't get caught up hanging out in a Discord or a chat room, or, just have some goals and focus on your life. That's one solution. And it's so many variables on this thing. That's awesome. I think it's been over-engineered socially. And,
it's definitely social engineering. Definitely.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, if we got some codes and some standards that we just govern ourselves by, and just keep it simple. I mean, it's the gentleman, he was on point with Smuckernich. He's on point. I've lived through a lot of what he said, and I watched it and observed it.
But like I said, America once incentivized masculinity and incentivized protect and provision. Now America's doing the opposite. And it doesn't give you the opportunity for every man to be able to provide and protect, period, right? So that in itself, you have to then adjust to that and morph into a different day. You know what I'm saying?
You hit it right on the head, Dre. That's what I wanted to get to, man. It's not so much to tell us what's cool. It's our standards and goals that's gonna tell us what's cool,
100%,
what's popular, and recognize where the target is moving to and engage there. And I think that's where a lot of the missing the mark is coming on at. But I've said enough. I do have a story. Like I say, you can call me just a knight of the old code. To point back with Brother Obsession played that date, about a $400 date. I think back, I've been married to my wife for 30 years. I've known her 40 years. And I remember times where we'll have $5 together. The car's on E. We'll put 3 in the tank and go to Church's Chicken and get a 2-piece and split it like that. You know, we got
Ain't
down
that
on
something?
different.
Hey, yo.
Beautiful.
You approach your one the way you
Ain't
quoted
that something?
The way you quoted your wife. You said, "Baby, you want a piece of this cornbread?"
Hey,
We go to
no,
churches.
Dre,
I let you have the biscuit.
2 peppers and then have to share one, bro. I'm just saying.
Hey, baby, I was looking at
had
you
different
from the side of the
standards.
room.
The standards was different there, bro.
You can have the biscuit.
You want a piece of this cornbread?
You want to share my napkin?
Yeah, I saw a girl. I rubbed your hands down with alcohol when you was picking that cotton.
I got the honey. I got the honey for the biscuit, baby.
I'm gonna go. I got.
Hey, bro. Y'all laughing and everything, but see, we went by different codes. It was about.
Yeah, I mean that was listen. That was
we just messing with you, man.
Yeah, but Price at that time, once again, that was the norm, right? It was a form of survival.
Yeah.
Right? You found the person best fit for you.
That's right.
And you offer them a piece of sweet potato and say, "Hey, with this sweet potato, we be wed." Right? So that was the difference. You know what I'm saying? But hey, Brandon, you got something to say before we dip?
No, I just want to thank you for you and Obsession. Let me come up in this fold and just grab some of this game from everybody.
Like you say, taking it all in with a pad and a pen, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. Listen, man. Continue to
Shout out to brother DMG. I didn't greet you earlier, brother. I ain't. You know, it's been a while. I ain't seen you, man. So shout out to you, my dude.
See you, bro.
All right.
Yeah, man. So DMG, you got. I know before you go put honey mustard on your beautiful wife, do you have anything to say, brother?
No. Hey, listen. Just come check out Paradigm Shift TV.
Paradigm Shift TV.
It's always gonna be some shenanigans going on over there with me and my brother.
Yeah, I got a matter of fact. If,
the rest of the crew.
If Obsession, if I'm here and Obsession is next week, I got to get a show for Captain next week, man. I need the entertainment factor.
Yeah. Hit him up. You know now you know they got that Passover coming up, so.
Oh yeah, the Passover. I can't deal with. Yeah,
you hit him up before the first. You know he'll figure out a way to do it still. So you know.
Yeah.
I got a new channel coming up called DMG TV 314, where I'm gonna be talking about some different topics, not so much where religion is pertinent. You know, we'll talk about.
But right.
We'll be talking about like actual grown up conversations, marriage, relationships, sex, politics.
Nice.
So, and you know that type of content, and you know, kind of get away from the other stuff. And then lastly, my wife and I are gonna be doing. We haven't figured out if we're gonna do it every week, every 2 weeks, once a month, but we're gonna have a podcast called the Power of Love Podcast.
I like that.
I like that.
I like that a lot.
And telling our story and then interviewing other couples we know. And letting them.
Obsession. Are you willing to interview them for something you working on? Because I think that'll be dope.
Oh yeah. I'm actually working on a show right now. I'm trying to bring it to network TV. It's called What We Want from Each Other.
And I think that'll be dope.
We've been filming this for the last month. You know the R&B singer Jeff Redd. You go. Yeah. Okay. Well, him and his wife. I interviewed him and his wife. That was cool. And a bunch of other people, man. So it's been really dope. It's been a dope experience so far.
Nice.
I got a lot more to go. And it's coming together. So I'm excited. Yeah, but I would love to interview. Are we trying to get as many couples as we can? Yeah,
because I think it would be dope. Being there in St. Louis, now you have a different cultural dynamic regionally. You know what I'm saying? And I think
and I'm going to be doing some traveling real soon with all of that. So
dope. So set that up, man.
Yeah.
Set that up, man.
Yeah, we'll be married 26 years in August, and so we've seen it all. So yeah, it's
26 years. All right.
That's right. It's
I was 20 and she was 19, and we've been knowing each other since second grade. So unfortunately.
Yo, man, young macaroni with the extra cheese, like they say in Atlanta. Young macaroni with the extra cheese. But yeah, man, thank y'all for rocking with us today, man. I appreciate that, man. I really do. I wanted to. I was inspired by this topic when I realized it reflected everything I was saying on this podcast for about almost a year now. So, you know, and like I said, if I can't get with Obsession next week, I'll have my soundboard is working. So we can do the same thing all over again, man. Probably gonna do an episode, 101 Ways to Discipline Your Woman Without the Cops Finding Out.
Oh,
so I'm gonna definitely need Christina up there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna have to mute my mic. Wait a minute. What are you? How did we get into that? Wow.
Yeah. Well, and listen, Christina, if I was to pop you in private, that's love. If I pop you in public, that's abuse. So that's the difference.
No.
He's bugging now. He's bugging.
I'm just playing.
No violence. No violence. No violence.
But on that note, hold on. I gotta let my music bump for a second, yo. This is some love making right here. There you go.
Oh, and I thought about it, Dre. It's over 2 years I haven't had a date. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Play 2 years. It's been 2 years. Give us something special, brother. Give us something special.
I gotta pull it up. I don't know. Over 2 years.
Hold on.
So that's not no churches, bro. You got to go to Texas de Brazil or somewhere.
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead. We gotta put some. Yeah, we gotta.
Wait. I don't know.
I deserve a little kindness. Come on.
Okay, we're gonna take you out with some music here on.
If you see a woman down on the street and she's down,
because he's looking for you.
Just remember it's you.
He's looking for you.
He is? I'm over here.
All right.
There you go.
Aww.
All right. He's looking for you.
Where you at, Christine?
Do you ever reminisce, Christina?
Yeah.
You guys are silly. But I appreciate that. I'm going to go and have dinner.
Remember, I gave you my milk.
All right, we got to get to the hook. Here we go. How long it's been? It's been 6 months, 8 days, 12 hours since you had a date.
I love it.
All right. See you next time.
You guys have a good night.
Good night, buddy.
Woo, that's smooth right there.